Hey, um, let me do a quick sound check and see if I'm where I need to be. Let me see. I'm on the wrong one. I'm gonna wait for some people to hop on. So we have a few. All right. So this is not Teaching Tip Tuesday, nor is it any other thing. This is just an impromptu um, tutorial that I wanted to share or some tips because we are in the um, we're in the hot seat. I have actually 3 weeks before I test, which is interesting. It came so fast, and um, I'm ready to get these 3 weeks over with and get it done. So that's where I am. And I'm sure that you all have actually are actually feeling the same way if you're in Texas, and I am here too. I teach fifth grade. Fifth and eighth grade actually test um, earlier than the other grade levels. Elementary 3 and 4, grades 3 and 4, they don't test until May. So we're a success initiative SSI grade level here in Texas. So we're up for promotion or retention. So let me go ahead and get started. Before I get started, um, I want you all to, in the um, text at the top, I want to invite you all to actually register for my free webinar that I'm having this Sunday. If you don't know about it, you can click on that link and it will tell you what it's about. Actually, I'm going to be teaching you how to use the vertical alignment to close gaps. A lot of people are, you know, curious about how I get kids to move, and teaching through the vertical alignment is one way I get students to move. I notice that a lot of teachers make this mistake of just hammering, hammering, hammering on grade level skills. Well, it doesn't work. It doesn't. You have to, if you have kids that are struggling and that are behind, you have to go through the vertical alignment to actually close those gaps. And if you don't, the kids will never make gains, or if they do make gains, they will be short lived. So if you're interested in that, go ahead, click the link and sign up for that free webinar. Now tonight I'm going to be talking about Nearpod. Nearpod is one of my favorite tools to use, and I started using that tool or this platform, Nearpod's platform, a year ago when I was looking for something for my students they were having behavior issues. So it was crazy. I it was like something out of a movie. And Nearpod was one of the things that were platforms that actually captured my kids' attention to where I could sit them down and actually get some content covered with them. And you can read all about that in my blog. It says how to manage student behavior using Nearpod. So that's my blog post from this week. So what I'm doing today is showing you how to use Nearpod to help with skill review. I teach math. I'm a fifth grade math teacher. And last week during Teacher Tip Tuesday, and actually during my test prep um, workshop, I was explaining to the teachers that when you are trying to close gaps, you have to start with data. whether it be qualitative or quantitative. Quantitative are your numbers, qualitative is things that you're noticing that the kids are doing, and there's a pattern. It's constant. Well, I'm using my qualitative data and some quantitative, but mostly qualitative, meaning that my students are having an issue with mistakes in computation. So I said, okay, I wasn't going to start before the break. We were out on spring break this week. I said I was going to start after the break. So I started, kind of brainstorming some things. What am I going to do? How am I going to present this? Now, during reviews, make it engaging, not fun, because I can't, it just gives me chills when I hear teachers say, oh, I want a fun way. Well, if you look up the definition of fun, fun means entertaining. We are not teachers. And for me, and it's just my personal opinion, and I'm of the belief that schools should be engaging and interested. It should involve get up there and dance and jump around. That's just me. So I try to make things engaging to where it captures the kids' attention so they can. Now, this is my skill review, and I am a Google person. I don't like a lot of paper, 50% um, Google Classroom or a paperless type of activity. Now, with Google, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how this looks. So, this is my skill review. And it's my mini lesson. And the reason why I do a mini lesson, if you had listened last week, I do a mini lesson when my kids need more instruction. Maintenance is just practice. We're just going to practice because they're just keeping up their skill set and keeping it sharp. But my students need mini lessons, and I need to see where they're making their errors at. So on here, on Monday, they're going to do 3x2 multiplication, and they're going to write the steps of how they solve the problem because I need to see where their thinking is falling short. Then on Tuesday, this is my all-time favorite. It takes about 5 or 6 steps for the students to solve this problem. I need to see if they can solve those. I know there's an error, but I keep catching it after the fact. And for me, I need to actually get the error when it's in the thought process. So if I can correct it while they're writing it down, then I can correct it when they're actually solving the problem, if that makes sense. So then on Wednesday, yes, this is my all-time favorite. My students make errors here. It's also another source of contention because I have been simplifying expressions. We have gone through this, the order of operations, and they are making computation errors. Some of them are making errors because they're not following, and it's new. I know that they're elementary and they're not used to following certain steps to the T, but for this order of operations, there's not another way that it can be solved. So you have to follow those steps, and some of my little darlings have problems with that. Then we have on Thursday, calculate volume. Now, my volume, my students, my darlings, they will not write the volume formula. So therefore, they're making errors in computation. They have work all over the place. So I'm going to correct that with this because I'm going to be explicit about my instruction. You must write the formula. You must solve the problem under the formula. So that's on Thursday. And on Friday, this is a division problem. And I want to see how they're dividing because some of my students are from some quantitative data, which came from the mock STAR test. They were having problems with problem solving with division. I don't know if it was comprehension. So I need to kind of flush out and see where they're struggling. Now, with this is my way of reviewing for computation. And what I'm going to do is show you how, let me go ahead and exit this, how I uploaded it in Nearpod. So, Nearpod basically is a platform that it's an engagement tool. So, I'm going to go back. If you're not familiar with Nearpod, let me go back. So this is my library. I've had this account, I guess, going on like 3 years or so. And let me see. She said she can barely hear me. Okay, let me go in. Okay. So I don't know why this. I know people love Macs, but I'm not a Mac fan. I got it because I need some of the actual tools, but for some reason my sound will not automatically switch over to my it won't switch over to my mic, and I don't know why it does that. So hopefully you all can hear me now. So this is Nearpod, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to actually create a lesson. Let me see. So let me go in and I'm going to hit the create button. Let me move this out of the way. So I'm going to create a lesson. And as you can see, for Nearpod, can you can actually choose between the PNG. You can do photos in PNG, no JPEG. You can use a PowerPoint or PDF. I choose to use um, Google because it's easy. It's easy to create the slides. It's a no-brainer. So if I go here and click upload, I'm going to go to my drive. So there's my skill review, and I'm going to click on it. Now, Nearpod is going to give me an actual, um, it's going to give me an option of creating, um, I want to create PDFs, or do I want to upload individual slides? And I'm going to click on individual slides. So it's going to process. So as you can see, it has uploaded them with so after for me, after each mini lesson, I'm going to go in and add an activity. And what I'm going to do is add a quiz because I need to see if the students can solve this problem. So, what I do is take some Starlight questions and I'm going to add it in there. So, this is something simple. So, the school district has 112 buses to transport students to school. Each bus holds 48 students. What is the largest largest number of students that can be transported to school. So then you go in and you put your answers. I just copy them from the book. 160. And then there's answer 1,344. It's four answers. And then they have 5,476. And then they have not here. And the answer is not here. So I'm going to uncheck that one. And I'm going to save it. So now that slide is there. Now, where do I want this slide? I want it behind day Monday. Because after I finish my mini lesson and we go through and talk about this problem, how they solve it, I'm going to have them solve that. Now, you might be asking me, well, do I put it on paper? Absolutely. My students must solve this on paper. So what I'm going to do is take these questions and I'm going to print them out from Google, or I'll copy and paste them onto a probably a Word document and print them out and have my students solve them. And that's how I do the paper along with Nearpod. So what I want you to want to show you before I switch back over is the student preview. And that's what you saw before. So there's the slide. It can be self-paced. So I'll scroll over. I'll project this on the board after they're finished and solve it. And here's your quiz. And this is the student's view. And then they solve it and they submit the answer. And it pulls up data and it shows you, the kids have to put their names in there. And it shows you actually how they solve the problem. I think it's great. I love it. I love Nearpod. So if your school or district can afford it, it is money definitely well spent. And I believe that it helps engage the students because we're competing with Fortnite and all kind of other things that the students are coming to, or they're staying up late looking at this stuff. So yes, this is the best tool that I've seen outside of Flipgrid that helps with the teaching, and especially if you're a PowerPoint person, it's definitely something that you want to look into because it is absolutely great. It's great. So let me go back. So hopefully this was helpful. I know I had some sound issues and normally I check it, but it was on. And, when you don't check, that's when things happen. So, but hopefully this was a helpful tutorial and it gives you an idea of how to use Nearpod to help take the monotony and the boredom away from that test prep.